Welcome back aboard U80. It's March 25 and it's 8 o'clock in the evening. Our position is about 180 kilometers south of Cape St. Vincent and 425 kilometers west of Gibraltar. Our heading is about 200 degrees, or 220 maybe, and we are going full ahead, so we're going to be at about 13 knots, 13 to 14 knots. The weather is unchanged, 7 meters per second of wind from 45 degrees. The crew and officers are getting a bit cranky after, I don't know, I'd say about 10 days of patrol without any sightings. But we have news. We got a message of a convoy steaming west at 6 knots in CG, that's Charlie Golf 89er, which is the grid square just south of our current grid square. So I just ordered a U-turn as we were actually still in our search pattern 10-20 minutes ago, steaming northeast. So we pretty much did a U-turn and are steaming now full ahead southwest. The reason is we're going to apply our the technique that we developed before our deployment to the training facility, which is we have our grid square here, 89. The convoy is somewhere within CG 89. We're going to assume the worst case, that he's here in this corner, steaming west. So we are going to go to this position, which is where he would be, where the convoy would be if he were currently in this southwestern corner of the grid square. I don't think he is, but he might be in the worst case. So that's where we are going to go, and that's where the grid square would be if the whole grid square would move west at a speed of 6 knots. And once we reach that position down here, we will scan eastwards, going north and south, thus minimizing the time that we have to scan the whole grid square while it's moving west. That's the reason why we're not moving to, say, this corner or this corner. And we are moving to this corner and not to this corner because this one is further away, and if the convoy is actually, I mean, we're assuming equal probability for any location in the grid square. That also means the probability that the convoy is on this side is greater than that the convoy is on this side. So we're just basically applying geometry and probability on a very basic level here. He could be up here, and if we get down here and scan backwards and never find him, then we have to assume that we just missed him up here. But it's not that bad because we know right now he's in here somewhere, so the probability really is that he's actually somewhere. Let me see if I can draw this quickly for you. He's somewhere south and east of that little square that we're currently in. I mean, that's a roughly a, let's see, the grid squares are about 150 kilometers east west, and they're about 110 kilometers north south. So we have a proportion here of 30 kilometers and here of about 30 kilometers. The whole grid square is about 10,000 square kilometers, and here we have about 900 square kilometers, so we have a 90% probability that the convoy is somewhere other than in this grid square. So if we do this, we have a 90% chance of catching him somehow. We obviously will need a tight enough search pattern to find him. As per the weather that we had for at least the past 5 days or so, since it deteriorated basically, on our grid square, on our search pattern heading east or moving east slowly, we did dive every 30 kilometers just to make sure we could use our hydrophones from time to time because of the visibility not being that great, and we're going to do the same obviously once we start the new search pattern. What did I forget? It's a large convoy, so we're not just chasing after a handful of coastal vessels, so I think hopefully we'll find a couple of juicy targets. What else can we talk about? Ammunition is unchanged. We have a total of 10 torps, 7 in the front, 3 in the back. We still have a bit of, we still have quite an amount of shells, but I don't think they're going to be relevant for attacking a convoy. I assume he'll be escorted, so surface attacks, gun attacks anyway, aren't really a viable alternative, I think. Yeah, the crew, I mean, we have a bunch of sailors here that are exhausted because they haven't gotten a lot of sleep, and because the space is really, it's a tight boat and we're a lot of people. There's one guy getting exhausted here, but I think I do have a couple of people rested. Let's replace this guy. Currently I have the torp expert in the engine room, but I'm gonna switch that out. I had to give him a rest. He was getting exhausted, our engineer. He was the only guy running the engine room basically all the time, so I had to switch around these officers quite a lot. They were, like, all the officers are, I don't have any officer fully fit currently. The good thing is I'm gonna need the engineer now because I want to save fuel, so I'm gonna make sure he stays in the engine room. I'm going to give this guy a rest because we might need him once we get depth charged, so I'm gonna switch him out for him. He's fully rested. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I have enough people fit while we're on the chase. Another piece of good news is that right now we don't really need a good deck watch because we're not, well, actually we do, because we're moving through the area where the convoy could potentially be, so now we're gonna actually stick with a maxed out or almost with an optimized deck watch. I think we can leave him. I think we're going to switch these out because he's fitter at the moment, so we're gonna give him a bit more rest. We can burn through him until we get to the to the starting point of our new search pattern. And as we can see here, we have a couple of people tiring out here, so let me just switch all these cranky people out. And then I'm gonna clean up here. So yeah, that's our current situation, and I'll be back as soon as I have anything of interest to report. Thanks for checking in. Welcome back. Aboard U80, we're on the conning tower, steaming full ahead to reach the starting position of our search pattern, which I just have worked out, and I would like to explain it. So let's go to the map real quick. By the way, we're about 2 hours into our charge, and we're heading to 18. Okay, so I did say that we're going to start a search pattern heading with a general course east, just like the course that the search pattern itself is obviously not east, it's north and then south, like northeast and southeast and northeast. And then in such a case, you say, at least in German, the general direction of a pattern, there might be a zigzag pattern or any other pattern, is then called the general course. So the general course would be east. Now, after some thinking and map work and calculations, I concluded that our general course is actually going to be west instead of east. So that's why the course continues here north westwards instead of north eastwards. And I think we can also delete the rest of the search pattern that looks this way. And now I would like to explain why that is. So we are in simple words, the problem is if we go east here instead of west, we move very quickly across across the grid square, the moving grid square, where we want to find our convoy in. Actually, it takes us about 6 hours to get up here, regardless of whether we're going west or east. I mean, it does matter a little bit, I'd say, because currently the wind is coming from the north east. If we were to go directly, if we were to face the wind directly, we would probably be slightly slower than, say, when we go this way, west or any other way. But that's not the main reason why I've changed the search pattern. The reason is, if we go this way and it takes us 6 hours, the convoy moves. I'm sorry, it's not actually 6 hours. It's 6 hours minus the 2 hours that it takes us to get to the starting position. So 4 hours. It takes us 4 hours to scan across the moving grid square once, and that means that the grid square and thus the convoy moves around 45 kilometers westwards in this time. Now 45 kilometers is unacceptable. If we were to, say, move this way from the starting point, the convoy and the grid square would have moved 45 kilometers east. So that's a huge area that we haven't scanned and that we cannot reach with our sensors. Our sensors, I mean, currently it's night, so I'd say my crew sees maybe 6-7 kilometers. That's what they are able to see, I'd say. And if I go to the bridge, I can maybe see, I don't know, 9 or 10 kilometers, I'd say, reliably. And the hydrophones, they obviously aren't visibility dependent. I'd say the crew can maybe warn me or announce contacts to me to a range of about 15 kilometers, and I can maybe detect the contact to about 20 kilometers. So I've decided I don't want to leave, because we were going to dive and use the hydrophones, let's say every 30 kilometers, which gives us about, let's see if that even makes sense. So 30, that would be here, here, and here. That gives us about, yeah, I'd say that makes sense. We dive and listen at the start, and then 3 times intermittently at the end. Maybe I'll reduce that to, no, we can't. No, I have to leave it at this. So we'll have 5 dives in on one leg, so to say. And if the area that I want to leave unscanned, in the worst case is 15 kilometers, that means I have to have a westward facing leg instead of an eastward facing leg. That allows me that synchronizes our scanning speed with the speed of the convoy in such a way that we basically move 15 kilometers east or against the convoy every time we complete a leg. Now I haven't actually accounted for the dives, which are going to cost us some time. So actually we're going to take more time than 6 hours, which means 4 hours, which means the convoy is going to move westward even further. I think to take that into account, we can, let's reduce this to, let's stay on the safe side and see how that works out. Let's reduce it to 10 kilometers. Let's adjust the course accordingly. So even though we're going westwards after the starting point, we'll still be scanning backwards against the movement of the convoy containing grid square. I hope I could explain. I hope it came across what I'm trying to say. But if I wasn't clear enough, and if you do want to understand what I'm trying to do here, then please leave a comment, and I'm happy to talk about this method. Yeah, but I think it's pretty straightforward. This circle indicates basically where the potential convoy would be, 50 kilometers away from this corner of the grid square, from the time when we started racing down to where we want to start our search pattern. Then this circle, the second circle here, the western circle, indicates where the convoy, how much convoy or the grid square will have moved towards the west once we complete the first leg of the search pattern. And then it's really simple to work out the second leg, actually. This obviously as well has to go westward in the same, basically in the same angle, symmetrically to the north-south direction, which is the orthogonal, I think it's called, vector to the vector of the convoy's movement. Yeah, so let me know what you think, or whether there is a flaw with my thinking, or any other comments that you may have. And I'll be back as soon as I have anything interesting to say. Thanks for checking in. Welcome back. It's 1:15 midnight, and we are about to start our search pattern. Actually, I'm gonna do the dive, the hydrophone check before we start the pattern, so let's initiate that. And yeah, so far obviously there is no sign of the convoy, but I'm already curious for the first hydrophone check. I do hope and that our crew is excited now and hopefully re-energizes a bit. That would be very helpful. What's our depth? Yeah, I think we can. I don't think the listening on the hydrophone is affected by the speed underwater, but just to be on the safe side, let's see how fast we actually are.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloin. Große Fahrt voraus.
Slow down a tiny bit, but I don't think actually the quality of the signals is affected by the speed underwater. So we're about to turn. I'm gonna do some map work, work out where we have to dive the next couple of times, and we'll soon be on our merry way. Thanks for checking in, and talk to you soon.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloin.
Vorne oben 10, hinten kommen auch 5.
So we just completed the third dive. We're just about to resurface, and then it's about another 25 or so kilometers until we turn around and face south for the second leg. So far nothing, but I have worked out a bit more of about the logistics, and I always have to make sure that we go back to standard propulsion. The reason being, we lose about 4 knot or 3 knot of speed if we charge the batteries, and then our whole calculation falls on its nose. Yeah, so one leg is about pretty much exactly 4 hours, and then we have 3 dives that lay in between, and we have 1 dive here and 1 dive here. So, and every dive I want to be under for no more than 5 minutes. That means we have 15 minutes inside of the leg, and then 2.5 minutes on either side on average per leg, so that means 20 minutes. So that gives us 4 hours and 20 minutes, or no, hold on. Actually, yeah, I'm calculating with 5 hours per leg, including all the dives. So 5 hours gives us 66 kilometers. That means every time we turn around at either the north or the south end of the search pattern, the next end will be, well, the convoy, that the window, the grid square will have moved 66 kilometers towards the west, and we are always moving 10 kilometers backwards, so to say. So on the map we're going eastwards, but if we take the grid square as our frame of reference, we're actually moving eastwards at a speed of 10 kilometers every 5 hours. So that's 2 kilometers per hour. That's our actual scanning speed, yeah, eastward. So yeah, that's what we are currently up to. Yeah, I think we're gonna exhaust our crew, but I'm not gonna manage it all the time. I'm just gonna intervene when the efficiency of the compartment is dropping below well, 100%, but I don't think I can do anything about this here. It's about their experience. I don't think I can get much higher than this anyway. So yeah, I'll be back hopefully soon with some news about the convoy.